I'm now going to talk about another problem that many of my students run into about this point, and that's something called floating faces. So I'm going to come here, grab this face, and do an extrusion to kind of show how this works. What'll happen is my students, in their enthusiasm, will decide that they want to help clean things up and reduce the geometry on an object. So the way that they want to do that is they grab an edge and delete it, grab another edge and delete it, and by removing edges, they think that they're reducing geometry. The problem is this is, first of all, creating n-gons. But second, when I come down to these last two edges, if I remove one of them, the other one gets removed, and we now have what is known as a floating face. So I've got this face here, but it's not connected in to the rest of the geometry, and this can become very problematic. If I try and come back and repair it later by using the multi-cut tool, I can get a couple of edges in, but it doesn't know how to calculate it or how to fix it, and so it ends up just being broken. Now there's a couple of ways to resolve this. The first is to just simply remove these floating face pieces. If you can find these faces to remove them. But you remove those pieces and then either use the Append to Polygon tool or use the Bridge tool. And then that will repair it. I'm going to undo all these edges again. Another way to resolve this, if it gets too complicated or things get too broken, is simply to delete everything here. So if I can identify where that face is, delete that. Then bridge the gap, or Append to Polygon, and simply rebuild. A lot of my students at this point are scared of trying to make changes or rebuild sections, but it's actually pretty common. Whenever I have major issues, I'll simply go back in and rebuild a section. It's good. It helps you build up practice. It helps increase your speed. So don't be afraid of rebuilding things if you need to. One other thing I want to point out that I think I missed in the last video is if I have some place where maybe I've used the multi-cut tool and I delete that edge, but I forget to remove the vertices. A way to identify that is if you come in and use something like the Append to Polygon tool to connect and it doesn't connect all the way through. That can be problematic and also be an indication that there's something else there. So you can either come in, delete the vertices that are there first, and then reappend, or if you've already got it that far where you're appending across, you can simply append again, come back in after the fact, delete the edge, but also making sure to delete those vertices so that you don't have n-gons anymore.